Because, of course, we are meeting at a time when a lot of people expect tumultuous change.
The world is looking for direction.
That may represent huge changes in the world order as we have known it.
The office of President of the United States.
Donald Trump, soon to be installed at the White House, has said the kind of movement that brought him to power has never been seen before in the world.
He's defining a clear path for himself. Today we're actually seeing what our new world order might look like.
In these early days of 2017, there is a palpable uncertainty about the state of the world.
Right at the beginning was Dr. Kissinger talking about the disintegration of the old order as we understand it.
Even more important today than they were then, because now we need a concept of world order that is, for the first time in history, that all parts of the world can directly affect all other parts.
How do you see the current climate?
I think there is no question that we are at quite a unique point in time. I've not seen anything like the situation we are in my lifetime. The changes certainly brought by technology are only going to accelerate. Think about the technology we have today and add on.
A lot of people, I think, would like to just pretend it's not happening and reject it.
The pace of change is accelerating dramatically.
And hope that they manage to make it into their 50s or 60s without it really disrupting their life too much. But clearly you cannot do that when it is coming at you like a freight train.
And I am absolutely convinced that all the new technology we're seeing will have one side to it that can be negatively disruptive, but also one side to it that can be extremely positive. We have biometrics that actually means that you can be recognized.
Tell us, what's the future of paying and shopping for things?
I believe that 2/3 of the world will ultimately end up paying with biometrics. I think the emerging markets will be a lot faster to adopt because they don't have our notions of privacy in the US and Europe. Personally, I like it. I like to choose whether my fingerprint is available somewhere or not. But in a lot of countries around the world, that's not a choice. You have to make it available.
So we don't want to go down that road in the US or Europe,
well,
do we?
I don't know.
Has India gone too far?
It's always a balance. I can also tell you the same people that complain about it put their fingerprint whenever they enter the country. They don't say anything about it.
They want to go on holiday there.
You can't enter the country anymore, any country in the US or Europe, without giving your fingerprint. So you're actually giving it to somebody. We know that the millennials and newer generations are actually a lot less concerned with privacy than the older generations. And we know that they'll give up certain privacies for convenience much more willingly than others. Technological progress is unstoppable. No matter what administration, no matter what government, no matter where you are in the world, increasingly, it doesn't really matter.
One of the key problems of our period is that the international order with which we were familiar is disintegrating in some respects.
Of how we can really create, I would say, a new world order.
I would start by saying that we live in a dangerous world. We see a proliferation of new conflicts. Old conflicts seem never to die. Conflicts are becoming more and more interlinked, more linked with the new threat of global terrorism. That today's wars are wars that nobody wins. Everybody is losing.
In the fight for Mosul.
About a region that is really witnessing shifts and changes. Every time we call them unprecedented, we get even more outlandish moments.
Russia and Turkey have carried out joint airstrikes on Daesh. This is the first time that Russia and Turkey have joined forces in such an operation, and 9 Russian fighter jets and 8 Turkish warplanes are involved in this operation. And this operation is yet another sign of increased cooperation between Russia and Turkey in Syria.
And in a world as fragile as today, of course, it doesn't take much to flip something. You know, the butterfly phenomenon. Now we have it. It's so fragile, it doesn't take much. A single event can change everything. Is, of course, too many involved. In the years before '89, it was a relatively clear set world. Practically 2, maybe 3 powers of relevance, and you knew who to call to solve the issue, who to call today.
The potential for CRISPR is described in the recent issue of The New Yorker. The story is called Rewriting the Code of Life. Could be a revolutionary advancement.
One of the most significant developments in this field is the newly discovered ability to modify the very genes in our DNA.
And I want to quote a line from your story. You say that Esveld directs the, quote, Sculpting Evolution group at MIT, where he and his colleagues are attempting to design molecular tools capable of fundamentally altering the natural world. I mean, that is a pretty extraordinary set of ambitions.
But also, you may want to make a baby taller, faster, smarter, so the potential for taking advantage of it is clearly there.
So what are the possibilities of connecting our bodies to the internet?
Well, the Internet of Things, we all see it, right? Our toaster, our refrigerator can be connected, but over and over, we're seeing more devices that people are wearing.
I could not be prouder of the transformation that's taken place in our society just in the last decade.
This is the January issue of National Geographic, and it is called Gender Revolution.
Debate tonight in Thousand Oaks. The school board there will talk about whether to teach children about the accomplishments of the LGBT community in the classroom.
Showing a range of people who are describing themselves and describing their gender in different ways. You know, bigender, non-binary, transgender, and pretty much everything in between.
Dunn was responding to a parent who was questioning his perceived hesitation regarding the FAIR Act.
And this is Jonathan, who is 8, who identifies as both a boy and a girl at the same time since he's been 2.5. And this is taken in a place that is much more accepting than the last picture that we saw. This is taken at California's Bay Area Rainbow Day Camp, where kids can safely express their gender identities. And here he is pretending he's a unicorn as well.
It's a state law which compels public schools to teach the contributions of people with disabilities and those within the LGBT community. Dunn responded by writing, in part, "If I ignore my Christian beliefs, what happens to my soul when I die? Where I spend eternity is far more important to me than being a school board trustee."
It's interesting because it conflicts a little bit with this idea that I am a girl when they're little boys. It's just social circumstances push people in one direction rather than another.
Safe space is invading college campuses. A new college trend to create these safe space areas where students can be sheltered from opposing views.
Right here in Southern Oregon, the Oregon Cabaret Theater was flooded with people concerned about Trump's presidency tonight. Organizers say that the Ghost Light Project symbolically creates a light for what they say are dark times ahead.
Some university boards and administrations now vow to pressure groups and shield students from these ideas through safe spaces, code words, and trigger warnings is, in my view, a terrible mistake.
It's a moment for the entire national theater community to make a pledge to not only be safe spaces, but brave spaces.
One of the most dangerous places on a college campus is the so-called safe space, because it creates a false impression that we can isolate ourselves from those who hold different views.
Well, to all the people across the nation protesting the Trump presidency, canceling exams, bringing in therapy dogs, and hosting, yes, there's something called a cry-in.
A mystery in the water in St. Petersburg tonight. Something is killing pelicans and making other birds sick.
And biologists have no idea what's killing them.
This year is different, killing birds too.
But the thing is, we've never seen birds die.
It's a marine mystery. Scientists are trying to figure out what's causing a record number of humpback whale deaths in Hawaii this season.
It is higher than usual. It's almost double early in the season.
Wildlife officials say it's the largest mass stranding ever in Florida.
And this is quite a mystery tonight. The big question, why would 95 whales all beach themselves? What's so interesting is the scientists tell us they have never seen a stranding this large for this species of whale.
The science is telling us that the rate of extinction today is about 100 to 1,000 times higher than natural rates. Species are extinguishing very quickly.
Their quest for clues about why the massive creature died, likely within the past week. They say the whale did not appear to have been hit by a ship.
When you have an animal like that coming in and there's no apparent cause of injuries, we need to examine it.
We should expect further attempts by Russia to meddle in the democratic process. It will occur again, I promise you. And again, the purpose is clear: to collapse the liberal international order.
Together, we will determine the course of America and the world for many, many years to come. But we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.